KTN News.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with Morning Express. Of course, we continue interrogating various news, making headlines and topical issues that are beneficial to you back at home. Now, following the just released KCSE results, I'm pretty sure the parents to the candidates who sat for last year's KCSE results are scratching their heads. Placement is set to start in a few weeks. You're trying to look at what are the best options, especially the candidates themselves. What are the best options as they roll into the next level of education? And of course, universities have been touted time and time again ever since history to be the best in terms of placing, where we have the top achievers actually struggling for these particular positions in universities. But over time, we've definitely seen so much impetus given in the education sector that colleges are also coming up. We've also seen the emergence of TVETs as well. So we'll try and have a conversation centered on the youth in terms of the technical courses you can actually take in colleges to enhance your skills, even as you look forward to placement in universities. This will definitely be a beneficial conversation. Remember, you can also plug in case of any questions. Do find us via Twitter handle at KTN News KE, and we'll definitely pose some of your questions to our panelists who are joining us in studio, because we definitely are aiming to improve our employment chances once you're done with education. Speaking of the panelists, allow me to introduce a gentleman joining me in studio right here is Dr. John Nyaga, who is a senior principal lecturer at KMTC. Many thanks for your time, and via way of Zoom, I'm joined by Professor Simon Thuranira, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic and Student Affairs at Meru University of Science and Technology. Gentlemen, we're having this conversation in the backdrop of the goal by the Ministry of Education, 100% transition to the tertiary level in order to achieve the much needed quality education. Dr. John Nyaga, let me start with you. In the backdrop of the 100% transition, your reaction to this. Will the colleges, perhaps KMTC, are they looking forward to more students this time round?
Well, let me start by clarifying one.
Okay.
The Kenya Medical Training College is established with a different act rather than the TVET Act.
Yes.
And probably mandated to train the middle healthcare providers. So the act, our act is slightly different from the one which established the TVET. However, we are putting in place the mechanism to ensure that we enroll as many students, as many applicants as possible, by the way of advertising our courses and ensuring that our campuses are actually spread literally throughout the counties.
Okay, that's well noted. Perhaps let's speak about college apathy, if that's a word. You know, so many are aiming to make it to university. As a college, do you feel sidelined in any way, shape or form? Because at times, the students who might come to the colleges, it wasn't necessarily their first choice. It might have been due to placement. How do you deal with this?
To be very honest with you, the Kenya Medical Training College courses actually attract quite a number of applicants. Yeah. And we don't have a major problem with the number of applicants coming. Neither do we have people who probably say they never went to the university. That's why they are coming to KMTC, because we have been training for the last couple of decades, and we have not seen a very major problem when it comes to students opting to go to university. University is the other way around, where students actually opt to come to KMTC. Our training is competency-based, and such that when the students actually graduate with these skills, they are actually employable. And that's why there is a slightly different, some kind of difference between The ones who actually now do only the theory part and the students we train. And this has been made possible by the fact that from our act, we are supposed to provide people who will actually go directly and start working. So in that respect, then we have no option but to train them with the competencies necessary for them to be absorbed in the job market, both locally and internationally.
Okay, that's definitely well noted. Let's speak of the disruptions brought forth by COVID-19, especially on skill-centered courses, the ones that might need practical learning. You need to be there in order to get the practical skills. Talk to us about this. Was this a challenge for KMTC, perhaps, as we noticed a shift to online learning, and how exactly were you able to fill in this gap, especially for those who apply to practical skills?
Bob, honestly, everyone had that disruption, and we cannot assume KMTC was not affected. However, of course, we have to go and now look at the ways how to go about those challenges. And one of them is, of course, the online we have mentioned. Having in mind that these students will still come when they report back to college, then we go, of course, through the practical and the practicum training, so that they are able to perform when they graduate. So, as we are saying, everybody was disrupted, but we had to come a way to fill up by ensuring that these students, wherever they were reached through the online training.
Okay, that's well noted. Over to Professor Thuranira. Many thanks for making time, joining us via way of Zoom. Let's start. As Meru University of Science and Technology, your quick reaction to the 100% transition goal by the Ministry of Education. I'm pretty sure with the proper results, the stellar performance by the candidates, universities are definitely placing themselves for an upsurge in students taking up various courses. How exactly is Meru University preparing for this?
Thank you very much for that. Meru University of Science and Technology is one of the public universities in Kenya. And we are basically a science and technology university. And other than the degree courses, undergraduate courses that we offer, we have also a college, which is TVET. We have registered a college with the TVET board. We offer diplomas and certificates. And our aim as a university is also to reach out to those students who may not have gotten the grade for placement for degree courses, that is a C+ and above. Meaning that under the diploma programs, we are able to reach those students who do not manage the C+. If you had, for example, for diploma, you need a C- to join one of the technical diplomas. And for us, we are aiming to increase the number of students getting access to education, and specifically practical-oriented courses that can enable the students not only to get employment, but for self-employment, and provide middle level skills that is required for development in this country, the region, and the world over. Thank you.
Well noted. Professor Thuranira, let's talk about these career choices. We well know it's definitely dependent on the grade you get during your Form 4s, but at times we have these students who might not necessarily be placed in careers that they wanted to pursue. I mean, we've heard of this talk of the parents actually pushing fanya hii course at first, and then later on you can actually pursue what you wanted because it's more practical, it's more marketable in the job market. What's your take on this, Thuranira?
Well, my take is that most of the parents, yes, influence their children to particular careers. Maybe you're a doctor, you're an engineer, you want your son or daughter to be in the same profession. But our advice generally to parents is we need to, first of all, try to know what is the student oriented to. For example, there are students who are practical oriented. There are students who are theory-oriented, or people who are in theater, for example. And somebody might not qualify for a certain career or course at the university, but they are able to do certain skills. We have seen sometimes COOPs, which is Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Services, placing some students to come and do certain degrees. But a student drops that degree and joins a diploma of their choice because they were called or admitted for a degree which the student themselves feels is not their right career. And again, they are guided by their parents, they are guided by career experts, like in the universities. Even in high school, it should start in high school, where the career master should be well-grounded to guide the students in terms of the careers that they would want. And we have one particular kind of test called psychometric test, which is administered, and we are able to tell a certain student where are they oriented to. Are they practical oriented? Are they in theater? Which kind of career can they fit? So that's the kind of guidance we'd like to see all the way from high school, going to the universities, and the parents also seeking professional advice.
Okay, Dr. Nyaga, let me interrogate the steps put in place by KMTC, perhaps to enhance the career choosing, because at times not everyone definitely scores the high marks, so it might lead to confusion. How exactly is KMTC plugging in order to perhaps lead by example?
I'd say you are aware that if you don't have people guided on what they pursue in life, then things, of course, go the other way around, where we have people or students graduating and at the end of the day realize they are doing the wrong courses. And one of the things probably we need to really interrogate is the influence of the parents to what their children are doing. Would rather have their children choosing what they want and to just guide them. So what we are putting in place is to ensure that we advertise, when we advertise the courses, we have also some kind of information on what these graduates are expected to do. We are also trying to go out there when these students are almost doing their exams. We talk to them and try to show them what the courses we have, what the job opportunities are in the market, and if so they want to do that, then they can go further and try to interrogate and check whether they are able to fit into those fields. We have also what he is saying, that when parents actually influence and even force their children to do whatever they think is best for them, in quotes, then at the end of the day we have very big problems where we have people or our graduates leaving, and then they decide that this is not what I wanted. We have even students coming from the university after the first, second year, they realize this is what they wanted, then they come and join MTC. So all of us have a stake in this, that we did have to talk to the children, guide them, establish very well grounded career guidelines in schools just before they finish. Of course, the cooperation of Ministry of Education, so that we have these students joining the institutions of their choice when they have the full information of what is expected of them in the job market and otherwise.
Okay, that's well noted. And I'd come to think that KMTC might be at a precarious situation. Allow me to argue my point that we have the A students who are definitely high achievers, and at times they'd go for medical courses. But then we have those who might not have achieved the grade to make it to such courses, C+ and below. Talk to us about how exactly KMTC is packaging their courses in order to reach out even to the high-flying students, since these are medical courses offered at the college.
Bob, let me tell you for a fact that we are probably one of the most expanded and well-grounded institutions, such that, or in the sense that we have about 71 campuses spread throughout the counties. So first thing is to ensure that the presence of KMTC is felt. Okay. Then two, when we do advertise our courses, we give the minimum entry grade, such that we don't exclude even the high achievers. We have students joining KMTC with the B+, with the A-. So we don't exclude the higher ed. We only give the minimum requirements required for that course, and then they apply. They are not disadvantaged because they have the higher marks, but of course they have to meet the minimum entry requirements per specific courses.
Okay, that's well noted. Professor Thuranira, crossing over to you. I mean, at times the balance between the skill courses and the theory courses that might lead to white-collar jobs, the balance is not there. Because looking at the numbers that are accommodated in universities, less than a fifth of students head to universities. But taking a look at the emergence of TVETs, what exactly is TVET trying to do in order to actually push for more enrollment in these institutions, but also appeal to these young minds that might think, you know, a TVET course might be for those people who might have failed to get access into university? How do you change this mindset?
Thank you. The mindset you have observed correctly is there that our youth think that if you go for a diploma or a certificate in a certain practical field, you are considered to be a failure. But we need to sensitize our parents and the community generally. Like, if you go to the Western countries, including even countries like Japan and China, you find that the economy of those countries is actually moved by the middle level people with the skills or in diploma level and certificate. And on the same, the Kenyan government has come up with the Kenya National Qualification Authority framework, which has actually pathway of people moving from primary school all the way to the university to attain master's or a PhD, but through a different path other than the C+ way. The KNQA, for example, says that for you to get a degree, it is a C+. For you to get a diploma is a C-. But it goes down to say that you can do a certificate with a D plane. And they say even those who have failed with the E, they can still do a lower certificate in the VTCs. The VTCs are vocational training centers, which were formerly known as village polytechnics. So with that framework, there is no failure, because even somebody who got a D- or an E, there's something that they can do. Again, the same authority has given institutions of learning something we call recognition of prior learning. This means that if somebody has never even been to school, we have seen in our Juakali workshops, in the garages, somebody left in class 5, but they have been able to be trained to acquire skills. They can dismantle an engine of a motor vehicle and assemble it. KNQA allows colleges and universities to recognize that this person can do something and they can be given a certificate or a diploma. And that way, we're able to encourage those people who don't have the papers. They can have that prior knowledge recognized. And again, the CBC curriculum which has been introduced in our country is actually geared towards promoting that kind of learning where we don't just recognize paper knowledge, but practical knowledge that can be seen. It is something which you can observe. It is measurable. So that's the mindset we need to change. And it has already started with the government policy, going down to our parents and to our youth.
Well noted, Professor. Talk to me about this. How exactly is the revamped TVET sector a cure to the unemployment, especially affecting the youth in the country?
The Kenyan government has really revamped the TVET courses and programs. One of the key pillars is that we are seeing that almost every county, There is a technical training institute. And it has even gone down to sub-counties, where the sub-counties have 1 or 2 TVCs, or the technical vocational centers. And this emphasis is actually bearing fruit. Because if you go back to our homes, if you want to get a plumber, for example, sometimes you have to book a plumber to do plumbing in your home. But as our youth looks at it from a positive side, that this is not a blue-collar job, because our mindset has been that the youth want white-collar jobs. But with the scarcity of jobs, the youth are realizing that even the blue-collar jobs that we get after attending the TVET, actually sometimes they're even more paying than the white-collar jobs. And with that slowly sinking in our youth mind and their parents, this is going to bear fruit. And we have seen that in the TVET institutions, the government is even giving capitation to students to join the TVET institutions. And the Higher Education Loan Board is also doing the same. So it's like the TVET students in TTIs and TVCs, they don't even need to pay fees because it's catered for by the government through government capitation and through ELB, the Higher Education Loan Board. So all these incentives, when put together, and we sensitize our youth and our parents, then we are going to move our country forward, because we need development. We need people with the right skills. And here we are talking about practical skills in construction, in housing, in all these fields. So all this is what we can do, and you can see what the government has done. Every county, they have the TTCs, TTIs, and TVCs all over. And finally, this can only be realized if we have people who have proper training, skills to be able to impact the skills in these TVET institutions.
Well noted, Professor. Dr. Nyaga, add your voice to that particular issue, and perhaps how exactly would it be beneficial, and how can we do this to enhance access to the formal jobs industry in terms of perhaps partnerships with manufacturers to ensure that skills trained in TVET institutions, in medical training institutions as well, are relevant to the needs of the country?
Bob, I'm going again to emphasize this, that until and unless we have the mindset of the parents and the ones coming to be trained, then we have some issues. However, when we have the private partners coming to partner with the institution like KMTC, we have quite a number of fields we can partner in terms of research and consultancy, because we have also the expanded mandate of training of consultant research. When we have the private institutions coming to partner with KMTC, for example, in the area of research, it could be very, very beneficial, both to the faculty staff, the students, and also the partners, such a way that we are creating quite possibilities of having people being employed or employing themselves. So the partnerships are very, very important to the extent that if we have very, very elaborate partnerships, then probably we could reduce the level of employment, the issue where we have youth being idle, and I think we can have a positive growth in our country.
Okay, that's well noted. Still with you, Daktari, opportunities within the KMTC space, not perhaps just KMTC, but the medical space as well. If I want to perhaps pursue a course right here, what opportunities are there forthand in order to advise these young minds who might be confused that it's not just a medical profession, a doctor. You can actually be something else still within the medical space. Talk to us about this.
In Kenya Medical Training College, our mandate is actually to train the middle-level cadre of healthcare providers. So we are not in the university, we are at the middle level. So our entry requirements are, of course, lower than the university, but they must meet the entry requirement for that specific program. We have also certificate courses, we have diploma courses, we have higher national diploma courses in health, and even health-related. For example, even the environmental health courses. So what am I saying is that the field is quite wide, and what we train is on competency-based, so that once they leave our training, then they are able to either employ themselves or they're employed. Remember, we have said we start from at a certificate level, that is at C minus, meaning someone who is out there, maybe they didn't get even to do a diploma, they still have a chance to do a medical course with a C minus. And they have also an opportunity to upgrade themselves within KMTC to the extent that they even get the diplomas and even move forward. So the chances are not limited. I also want to stress here that we have quite a number of chances or vacancies coming this September, which we have advertised for the September classes. We have vacancies for over 7,000 vacancies to be filled by the applicants, provided they meet minimum requirements. So our fields are very wide. Our graduates are employable. They can employ them. So they are also job creators in the sense that once they get these skills, they are able even to run their own entrepreneurship facilities.
Okay, that's well noted, and I think that's part of the main goal, to create employers, not just employees. Back to Professor, I mean, we definitely have a technical capacity gap, one way or the other. Talk to us about those who don't have formal training. They might be watching us. They didn't go to schools or TVET institutions. How exactly do they get their skills recognized? Quote-unquote, jua kali sector workers.
Thank you. Earlier, I did allude to this. I said that the Kenya National Qualification Authority, which is a government entity, has given us a framework of recognition of prior learning. And we have quite a number of the youth who do not have the formal training. There are some people who did not even complete class 8. They did do KCPE. But somehow they have to get a living, and they have to either be self-employed or be formally employed. And the new framework has created that pathway whereby you can go to an institution, whether a diploma institution, a university like ours, where we have different schools. We have actually 80 schools. And each of the schools, they range from PhD to master's, to undergraduate, to diploma, to certificate. And let me pick, for example, our School of Engineering and Architecture, where we have diplomas in engineering. And again, to give the example of mechanical engineering, somebody who left class 3 went into the jua kali sector, has been trained for 3-5 years under supervision of somebody who has the skills. Somebody is able to dismantle the engine of a tractor. And they are able to know all the parts and be able to reassemble it back. And it comes back to life. That is what we are calling prior learning. And that's what we are saying. We want people really to know that we are not belittling formal education, but we are also realizing that informal and non-formal education is important and can be recognized through a legal diploma or a certificate, all the way, I said, to masters. That is a different pathway other than the one we use for KU CCPS, where they place students to TVET institutions, to the universities, both public and private and public. So that pathway is the one I explained earlier and said that with even an E, and we are not encouraging our students to fail, but we know it's a reality that students, not all students will pass. But that does not mean that this student does not have anything to offer. because these actually are the people we get in Mijengos. They are doing their construction work. So even in the construction, if these people can be able to demonstrate those skills and they are tested, we are able to evaluate and we are able to equate those skills practically, and we are able to give certification. This is a new dawn,
okay,
and we hope this kind of information is going to be actualized from now going into the future.
Okay, Professor, let's focus a little bit on the job market. Only 16% of the labor market is formal, around 84% is informal. And I'm giving you the statistics perhaps to put you on the spot. How exactly are TVETs enhancing access to the formal jobs industry? Once I'm done with the course, are there partnerships in place with the job creators to ensure that skills that are trained are relevant, perhaps towards achieving the Big Four agenda, Vision 2030, and alike?
Thank you. One of the ways of linking the institutions with the job market is actually involving the industry when you are making the curriculum. May it be a certificate curriculum, may it be diploma or a degree program. So what we do at the university here in Meru, University of Science and Technology, is whenever we want to do a curriculum, say a diploma in construction management, we link with the industry and they come and give their opinion. We call the stakeholders. And again, as the students are being trained in the colleges and the universities, or in our university here, we take them for attachment in the field. That way, they are able to get what goes on in the actual work situation. And one of the things we have realized is that attachments and internships, they are a very integral part of the training of students, so that they are more in the world of work than in the theoretical classes. So I agree with you that the 84% are jobs in the informal sector. But this is a sector that needs to be actually improved, given incentives, and our government pumping more resources into the informal sector so that we grow jobs for self-employment, for even formal employment. And that way, we will be able to achieve the Vision 2030, the SDGs, and the Big Four agenda of this country. And we are seeing that the engine behind this is actually the informal sector that we call the Juakali. Thank you very much.
Okay, well noted, Professor Thuranira. Allow us to take a short break. I'm also joined by Dr. John Nyaga from KMTC. We'll